Okay. Good evening. Welcome to me getting my act together live and on camera. I had to reset some things over the weekend, and clearly I forgot to turn something on. Did you say there's people on? This week, first, welcome to Reading Things with a Southern Accent, 2020, episode 31. 3-1. We've been doing this for, 31 episodes so far. We missed a day on one, and then we did Sundays. Or we have not done Sundays. So I think we're on day like 44 of the lockdown. I'm not 100% sure. Today was a rough one. You'll notice that my beverage of choice tonight is slightly different. It appears to be in a coffee cup. That is because it is coffee. I am drinking coffee because I developed a migraine this afternoon. And I'm not a migraine person. I had to lay down in the bed. I took a hot shower in the dark, laid down in the bed. I put like pajamas over my face. And then I consulted my doctor friend who lives in Louisville, Kentucky, and got his advice. So I'm drinking coffee. I took some Advil. I took some Tylenol. A Flexeril, and some kind of, what is it? Antihistamine, cold medication, an allergy pill. So I got all kinds of stuff going on in here. Hopefully this doesn't affect anything. Tonight we start a new journey in our readings. We have acquired a book, It's the complete works, complete stories and poems of Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe is our subject for the time being. It could be a week, it could be 2 weeks. It depends on how well this goes. Quick little history bit, if you're into it, about Mr. Edgar Allan Poe. He was born January 19th of 1809. He died October 7th of 1849. I made him 40, if you do math. See, I can do that kind of math. Edgar Allan Poe was a writer, an American writer, poet, editor, and literary critic. He is best known for his poetry and short stories, particularly his tales of mystery and the macabre. He is widely regarded as a central figure of Romanticism in the United States and of American literature as a whole. He did live in Philadelphia for a period of time. I think he's most famously associated with the city of Baltimore, but he did some time in New York City, did some time in Philly. I've been past the Poe House in Philly. It's over there, kind of Northern Liberties-ish area. But here's a tidbit that I think is interesting. He was born in Boston, the second child of actors David and Elizabeth Poe. His father abandoned the family in 1810, so he was born in 1809. His father abandoned the family in 1810, and his mother died the following year. So at the age of 2, he had no mother and no father. He was orphaned. This might make up some of the reasons of why Poe wrote the weird, strange things that he did. It's possible. One other interesting tidbit about Edgar Allan Poe. He married his 13-year-old cousin, Virginia Clem, in 1836. But Virginia died of tuberculosis. In 1847. So Poe had a little bit of a rough life. Maybe that explains a little bit. Ooh. Excuse me. Maybe that explains a little bit of why Mr. Poe had a twisted look on things. Okay, here we go. Let me get into the reading. Got to lube up the lips here. They say caffeine is good for migraines. I don't know. I'm thinking that muscle relaxer, it'd be kind of like the bourbon I normally have, so things are probably just like normal. I'm a little loopy. I don't feel loopy. I'm also, well, you know. So we're going to start off tonight with a obvious choice for anyone who knows anything about Edgar Allan Poe. And the thinking was, let's just get this out of the way right off the bat, so we don't have to have that looming over our heads. When will we read The Raven? Now, it is long. It's a lot of, there's a lot of verses here, so I don't think I'm going to read the whole thing. Yeah, there's a lot. Everyone knows The Raven. If you know anything about Edgar Allan Poe, you know The Raven. So we're going to start with The Raven. Right off the top, we'll see how far I can get. Do you think I should read to the first time he says nevermore? That's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stanzas. Okay? We're going to do it. Okay, Headnut. I did acquire this book from a friend. It just happened to be on their porch. It was very, very thoughtful because I couldn't find the book that I thought that we owned. I called the bookstore. They didn't have any Poe. So a very, very decent human being left this on their front porch, and I just happened to be walking by. Here we go. Once. Oh, man. How do I say once? Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. 'Tis some visitor, I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this and nothing more. I remember. So I is A-H. I. I distinctly remember. Distinctly. I'm going to skip that one. I remember it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrote its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow. Vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow. This was a good choice. I was wondering how difficult Poe was going to be, and Poe has proved to be a challenge. And we're in the second verse of the first reading. Vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow. Sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here evermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to the still of my beating heart I stood repeating, 'tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. That it is, and nothing more. Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. Sir, said I, or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore, but the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping and so faintly you came tapping, tapping at the chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened the wide door, darkness there, and nothing more. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there wandering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token. And the only word there spoken was whispered word, Lenore. This I whispered, and the echo murmured back the word, Lenore. Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again I heard a tapping somewhat louder than before. Surely, said I, surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what threat is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more. Open here I flung the shutter, when with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not in the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mine of lord or lady, perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. One more. Then this ebony bird, beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore, though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou, I said, art sure no craven, ghastly grim and ancient raven, wandering from the nightless shore. Tell me what tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Whew. Okay, so that is the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 verses or stanzas. What do you call it? Is that a poem? Is a stanza? That is the first 8 stanzas of The Raven from Mr. Edgar Allan Poe. And like I said, we wanted to just rip off the Band-Aid with Poe here, get straight into it, do the obvious of The Raven. In my notes here, it says, oh man, I lost it. He was the first born American, blah, blah, blah. He had instant success. In January of 1845, Poe published his poem, The Raven, to instant success. So you can see why it's very captivating. It's been 100 years probably since I have read that. I am going to probably go through and finish that just because it's been so long. But that is The Raven from Edgar Allan Poe, and that is our first entrance this week into reading things with a Southern accent using Edgar Allan Poe as our source material. As I've stated before, as long as we stay on this COVID-19 coronapocalypse lockdown, we will continue to do these nightly, except Sundays, roughly around 6 o'clock, until the ban is lifted and we can all go back to work and do all the things that we really need to do. I'm going to check in here, see who's got what we got going on. We got a good little... Are you hopped up on goofballs? Is that a thing? I got my Today Show mug. Mom and Dad, hi Kate. Joe Marlin. Hi Joe Marlin. Joe Marlin, how's New Jersey? Jen Bartell, Cocoa Beach. Cocoa Beach. It's always confusing. Melissa Barrow. One entertainment side note, I did watch the Beastie Boys documentary, and it's not necessarily a documentary. It is like story time with Mike D and Ad Rock, or Adam Horovitz and Michael Lewis Diamond. They stand on a stage and they talk about the history of the Beastie Boys, and it's directed live by Spike Jonze. Spike Jonze directed... he directed the Sabotage video. He directed a couple other of their videos. But he did that Fatboy Slim video where Christopher Walken is dancing all over the place. He directed Where the Wild Things Are. Spike Jonze. He directs this live from the audience, like from a sound booth kind of thing. But it's like story time with the two remaining alive Beastie Boys. So if you're a fan, I recommend it. It is 2 hours. And I'm not going to lie, when they first popped up on stage, Ad Rock had on khakis, white tennis shoes, and like a gray sweater, and his hair is gray, and he started talking, and I was like, this made me feel really old, because it sounds like Ad Rock is like an old guy from Brooklyn telling stories on stage. That's it for our entertainment side note for this evening. Tomorrow night we'll be back with more Edgar Allan Poe. I'm not sure which Poe we'll go with. Producer and I will confer. She's much better at this than I am. Hopefully tomorrow, no more migraines, and I can go back to my preferred brown liquid instead of the coffee at 6 o'clock at night, which is probably going to keep me awake, but if it gets rid of the headache, then I'm okay. I know you're concerned. Thank you for your support. I really do appreciate it. I can feel this headache subsiding as I sit here, but that's good. That's going to do it. We're going to wrap up Reading Things with a Southern Accent 2020 episode 31 for the night. And even though I have a headache, it's still important for you to please wash your hands. Good night.